Hey everyone, welcome back to Right Media Group Chronicles. We dive into the stories behind successful agencies, the wins, the lessons, and everything in between. Today, I'm joined by Denise Sommer, co owner and creative director at Ahoy. Denise, pleasure to have you on the show.
Same. So nice to speak to you.
Ahoy has been focused on nonprofits and impact work for 25 years, so long before it was really trendy. So I'm sort of wondering what's allowed that mission to stay consistent while the industry has kept changing throughout the times.
Great question. I would know. I wish I would know the answer. This is a little bit the magic of our studio. We really were always very lucky that by word of mouth, impact organizations that we've worked with have recommended us to others. We have clients that also have been with us for the 25 years that we've been around. So we've established great relationships. And then obviously people move around from one organization to the other and take us with them. So I think ultimately what it comes down to is that we've consistently done great work without praising ourselves too much, but coming up with ideas that connect with human emotion, I think, is a little bit our secret.
But let's go into the discussion with your current role at
Mhm,
Ahoy and
mhm.
what the agency is all about, because once you start hearing it, it's really a beautiful, beautiful story there.
When I was in my 20s, I finished my degree at Parsons School of Design, and I started working for a small agency that was working on all kinds of projects. The one that was memorable to me was hospital brochures. And I very quickly realized that uh, that I wanted to find somewhere where I could use my design skills for good and work for an impact agency, which at the time was not that common and not that many around. I did first do an internship at a place called Number 17, which is no longer around, but one of the partners is actually a partner at Pentagram, Emily Obermann. And there I did work on bigger projects like for the Mercer Hotel, restaurants, for InStyle magazine. I did a book about makeup, but I also worked on Colors magazine, which at the time was sort of an impact magazine talking about issues around the globe. And I also worked for Visionaire, the magazine, which was very fashion focused at the time. And I really realized that the reason why I did Visionaire was because it was really interesting in terms of design. They really came up with very unusual publications. And at the time, print was still big. Was where my passion lied. And I really wanted to work in beautiful, unusual print project. So that's what they were doing. And so I did both at the same time. I ended up actually being hired by Number 17 and working there. And then I went on to a publisher called Workman Publishing, which did a lot of, I worked in their coffee table books section. And so I got to do beautiful designs on books. I loved print and publication, but I really wanted to use my design skills for impact. And so I was looking around and I found this amazing studio, Ahoy, it was founded by my partner, Connie, and Ali, and other partner who works out of Switzerland, Ali. And I just loved their work. I thought it was amazing that they used their creativeness, that they actually forced also nonprofit organizations to look different and cool and interesting, and not just, the usual blue, white, and green and sort of boring look and feel that nonprofits usually went for. And so I thought, wow, this agency is so interesting. I want to work with them. I applied, and luckily they had an open position and they hired me. So I was a designer there 20 years ago, and then very quickly really worked really well with my current partner, Connie, and became a senior designer and then an art director and creative director. And then shortly, about 5 years ago, I became a co-owner, and we work really well together, which, is not always common as well, that you can work yourself up in this way. But we just have the same vision when it comes to design. We come from similar design backgrounds, and we have the same vision how we hopefully want the world to transform and use our design skills and mission to make a small dent, I hope,
Mhm.
in all the big challenges our world.
Yeah, such a beautiful journey. And it's like you say, it's not often you can climb the ladder, but to the sort of partner or co-owner. But it's like you say, you have that relationship, you work really well together, and you must bring, a lot to the table. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Incredible. Ahoy basically works with very complex global topics. So we talked a little bit about policy, sustainability, data, and ecosystems. So how do you turn complicated ideas into brands that feel sort of clear and human and sort of digestible messaging to the audience?
For us, the key is number one, I think we are different in the sense that we're really interested in do our research and stay current on different impact developments. Is it in power and climate? Is it in food and health? Is it in innovative finance? So when we get tasked with a project, we already have background knowledge, but we're also very keen on learning about the project and really understanding the subject matter, which usually is quite complex. And I think for us, the key is when we work with something like this, we want to make sure that even the person who doesn't know that much about it would understand it. And so how can we achieve that? How can we take complex subject matters and make them very simple and easy accessible? And we usually try to take an outsider's perspective and really try a good job of hierarchy of information. So what is like the biggest entry point and how could we engage the viewer in a very simple matter? And one for us to do this often as a tool for our studio is color and texture. We love using color because, colors is quite subjective. So when things are more colorful, people can view themselves in them more. So we like to engage people in that way. We also really try to make sure that our designs have a human touch and don't feel so clinical, even if some of the subject matters are clinical, because ultimately, um, we are, as humans, still involved in any process that we engage with, and we hope we can communicate that through our designs.
You talked about the importance of color.
Mm.
So really, how important is color and what messaging differentiates with different colors? I mean, can you just dive into that like just a little bit, just so I get a better perspective?
We love using color in our work, and obviously there is traditional color theory that I'm not going to go too much into now
Yeah.
because you can look that up. But obviously certain colors evoke certain emotions. And we also try to play with that in the sense that we sometimes use shades of color that are not that common. So we can also shift a little bit the perception and say, oh, this is fresh, this is new, this is exciting. Or even if we do this with colors that are more grounded and feel earthy, we want to achieve the same effect, even if it's not attention grabbing. And color can really help you achieve that effect, get an emotion out of your viewer and how the design is perceived. Obviously, in combination with all the other important elements that we use as designers, like typography, what kind of graphic visuals. Color alone is not going to do that for
Yeah.
you, but it is an important tool in our toolbox.
So, Denise, what would you say is working really well at the agency right now? Is there anything that you're sort of embracing in the agency and you think is working great?
I think we are a very efficient team and we learn from each other. So I think that's something that I think, especially coming out of 2025, when we had our end year reviews, we really try to be honest with each other and learn from each other. And I think I can really see in the team that everybody took the feedback to heart. So I think that it's a nice development to see that everybody is coming in motivated into 6 and is seeing from the feedback exchange that we had towards the end of the year. So I think that's a really great way to start the year. So I really think having feedback sessions towards the end of the year is really helpful for a studio and being honest in those feedback sessions because then you will see results. So I think that's great.
I love the fact that you have feedback sessions with the whole team and you each have constructive feedback, right? What you could potentially improve on, make yourself better this year. And going into 2026 really strong. I feel like that does bring the morale and the motivation of the team and even probably yourself up and looking forward to what the the year is going to bring.
Well, to add to that, I do ask my team to give me feedback too. So it's not just
Yeah.
me giving them feedback,
Yeah.
it's also them giving me feedback. So I think it needs to go both ways.
Of course. No, absolutely. And that can be a whole podcast about, like
Yeah.
hiring and managing teams and, how to keep the morale up for sure. It seems to be an up and coming battle with hiring the right people. And that really makes the whole agency and the team feel it if there's deficiencies in that area. So do you feel like with teamwork within the agency that's working well right now?
Yeah, I think, we all of the people that we've worked with for at least 3, 4 years, which I think in
Wow.
our world is, a lot.
Yeah.
And some of the team members have been with us for 10 years or 15 years. And so I think everybody is definitely inspired by our mission that what we start to have the conversation about. Typically, the people that decide they want to work with us are excited about the idea to use design for good. So impact design inspires them. And so typically they are motivated and want to work at the studio and work on the projects that we work on.
It's really for such a good cause. And I'd love to work for something like that. It fulfills like a higher purpose within you as well. You know this from wanting to get into that for like a good purpose, good design, right? To run that for like a nonprofit or sustainability. It's incredible to work for an agency like that. So your partner has done a great job in launching this agency for sure.
No, it's great. So and having for me, it's also I'm talking back about motivation and creative vision. I always say to everybody that for me, sometimes my best ideas happen in the shower. So I really like the idea that everybody can use New York City as sort of an inspirational playing ground, and that when we work on projects, you can walk around, go to a museum, do things in the city, and then as you do this or as you take a shower, you suddenly have this idea. Oh, this tile is inspirational
Yeah.
for this project that I'm working on. I mean, this is simplifying it, but I think having your everyday experiences and also the creative hub that New York and Berlin and Zurich are as inspiration for all the projects that we are working on is great.
We talked about what is working really great at the agency. Would you say there's any frustration or any challenges, either within the agency space or within the industries that Ahoy serves?
For us, the constant challenge is timelines. They're getting shorter and shorter.
How are they?
People want
I want it
things
yesterday.
tomorrow, so that's obviously always. And to be honest, our studio is really, really very proactive and really great with short timelines. And unfortunately, especially in the nonprofit world, things need to happen quickly. And we love that as a studio because sometimes it just gives us that creative adrenaline to be like, oh, we have to come up with something real quick on the spot and make it happen and still make beautiful and still make it meaningful. But I do hear the team often talking about, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have like a lot more time for this?
Yeah.
And I totally get it. I think there's pros and cons to it. I think sometimes when we have too much time, things drag out and it goes back and forth. And, if the timelines are shorter, things just need to happen. And some of our best projects have happened in very
Really? That's
timeline.
interesting.
So, I will say that what I do think is important, no matter what, is we always have our initial job briefing where we try to Connie and I, my partner and I, to really strategically think. We really want to always have a strategy session with our clients where we can ask all the important questions. What is your audience? What do you want to achieve? What are the goals for this project? And I will say when we were a little bit less of a mature agency, we sometimes skip that step. And as we have matured as an agency, we really see a lot of value in strategizing and working with our client initially, even under a tight timeline, to really understand what is the goal, who are we targeting, who do we want to talk to. and really make sure that the design that we come up with speaks to our target audience.
Yeah, of course. No, awesome, awesome explanation there. I'm sort of curious. I mean, I know that the agency's positioned really great. I mean, Ahoy, you search it up and it is there, right? It's been there for like you said, 20, 25 years already. But how do you connect with future prospects, or is it mostly focused on inbound where people are looking and finding you?
It's a little bit of both. So we are very lucky, like I said at the beginning, that a lot of people find us or recommend us. So word of mouth is still a big a way for us to find clients. But we also do research who we want to work with. And I will say that has happened too, that we randomly found an organization that we thought was amazing. The work that they did was amazing, but maybe for one reason or another, we thought they could use our help. Either maybe the design wasn't as good as we thought it could be, or we felt like we could contribute on some sort of level, even though their design was already great. We could bring a new viewpoint to the table. So usually we then approach them, and maybe not right then they have a need, but maybe a year later or a couple of months later, they will approach us and let us know that they have a project for us. And
Yeah.
obviously that's the same for clients that we work with. Sometimes for one reason or another, they venture out to do something else with different agencies. But typically, we've seen this in our case a lot, that they do come back to us and want to work with us again.
Because you left that impression. Yeah, I heard this. It's very important to stay on top of mind for your
Yeah.
potential prospects, right? Because, like you say, they could be going out somewhere else. Maybe they got a cheaper deal or, a different sort of project. But if you leave a good impression, you're always in the back of their mind, especially if that didn't work out, the previous relationship didn't work out that well.
Yeah.
So how does Ahoy do you often find that you're doing sort of educational content and awareness that you are here?
It's a challenge for small studios to go and promote themselves, because we don't really have somebody to do this for us. And we also, I will say, I'm very particular about how I want us to look, so it can't be just anybody going. There are now these new AI tools that
Yeah.
generate campaigns for you and will do all the work for you. But especially if you're a design agency, and I think also not necessarily a design studio, and really any other business, you want to make sure that what is generated and what you're putting out there about yourself has meaning and looks really the way you want to. And I don't think, talking again about AI tools, that all the tools are quite there yet to do that for you all the way. Like, it's not by a press of a button kind of situation.
Of
So
course. Yeah, I agree with you there. You still need that human input that's gonna guide the AI to where you want it the final product to take you. And especially very difficult for an agency that's focusing on that design and creativity. You wanna make sure you're putting and position yourself in a way that you would position your clients.
exactly.
Even though there's not that time, but you are totally right. This is a very, very common issue. You are so infatuated with delivering the best results for your client that you often tend to forget about your own agency.
But I will say we did a lot of work in January. When you ask me what is successful, especially my partner, she's amazing in doing research and positioning. And so we actually just updated the mission statement also with regards to
Mm,
AI on our
nice.
website. And we've done a little bit like inward looking on how we want to present ourselves and what tools we want to use, especially also in context of AI. Also, what's really exciting is that our 25-year anniversary is this year. So we're planning on doing a 25-year anniversary campaign for this spring. We're working on that. So that's what we're working on self-promotion in the
Yeah.
spring, celebrating our 25-year anniversary.
That's a great mix to have, celebrating how many years you've been in the industry while also making as a campaign and awareness that you're here. If you need our services, that's where we are. Beautiful. Talking about AI, you sort of mentioned you all brainstorm. and then you decide on what's the best sort of next step, what's the best tool. What is the process there in your agency? Does everyone research AI, or is there a particular person, like, for example, Connie, she does her research and then she's like, this actually looks really good. We can use it because of A, B, and C.
So Connie really has been amazing in doing a lot of research and keeping up with what is out there and also educating herself, not just on the tools, but also on how the industry is thinking and what they think is next and how this new technology is developing and in which direction and what we can expect. So she has really taken the thought leadership here. But the idea is really that we want to continuously test the tools. I mean, for us, we always realize that the best way to learn a new tool and understand a new tool is when you actually are using it for a client or on a project. And so that's the experience also with AI. I think implementing it into the workflow and using it on a daily basis is the only way to really confirm that the tool is the right tool for your studio.
Yeah, it's incredible that you are reinventing the business with Connie and yourself to ensure that you are adjusting to the times and embracing AI rather than being left behind on the trend. I mean, there's a few conversations I've had. Some people are more eager than others to really integrate it into your business because you have in the back of your hand, like, the clients I work with, will they be okay with us using AI,
Mm.
right?
Well, it's a challenge on different levels. One is you obviously want to stay authentic, and
Yeah.
especially the clients that we work with want to make sure that the message and the things that we deliver feel authentic and are real. It doesn't necessarily mean when something innovative or groundbreaking is happening that there's a great photographer right there taking a picture when it happens, right? Because those are these rare moments.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
so we obviously would love to use AI to showcase that, but then and we can certainly can to a certain degree, but we also want to show what's real and authentic. And so that's the challenge with using AI for imagery. However, what is amazing is that there's all these tools that help you size up, for example, real images, which, before if somebody took a iPhone picture even on or even worse, camera, another mobile phone camera, and we would get the picture back and would be really low quality, we would be like, we can't use this picture. It's just not good enough. But with all these amazing newer AI tools, we can resize it, we can retouch it, and retouching is happening also much, much faster. And so that's somewhere where we as a studio really want to embrace this technology because it actually helps us immensely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
No, awesome. Very detailed explanation. That Thank you, Denise, for that. You mentioned workflows. And now I'm very excited about workflows because that's something we do as well. So what type of workflows have really been a game changer in the agency?
that's a one. It's obviously we always work on us all the time to try and optimize workflow. In our case, we are a very democratic agency, so we really try to make sure that also our junior team can be part of the creative exploration. And so when we initially brief a project, if we have the luxury, we include almost the whole team, or we split up into teams that have different levels within junior and senior design team in present so that we can brief everybody together. So that's like one of the steps that we take. And then we do try to, as the project becomes clearer and we know, what design direction the client has chosen, pair the right designer with the right project and sort of try and eliminate silos that way. Of course, Connie and I really pride ourselves that we are really overseeing every project at the studio so that our fingerprint is on everything
Mm.
that we
Yeah.
do. And then there's obviously always this big handoff moment where you hand off to either the printer or the developer or whoever is implementing the design direction for you. So we make sure that we're very involved in that part. I feel like sometimes people drop the ball right there and then it doesn't look at all like the initial design vision that you had in mind. So we're usually pretty involved there. And then obviously crucial is also to be involved with the client and we usually schedule weekly, if not bi-weekly sessions with our clients where we check in and make sure that everybody is happy, not just our internal team, but also the external team that we are working.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful that you explained that you and Connie have a sort of fingerprint on every single project. I'm sure that makes your clients feel more at ease as well because you and Connie, both of you have such a wealth of knowledge in the industry. I mean, you were there almost since the beginning as well. Know everything and you probably worked with similar projects before. So the input that you can have is amazing. So it's good that you have that final fingerprint. I don't hear this often. Usually it's handed off, like you take care of it, and the founder doesn't really, or the co-owners, they don't really get as involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is a unique thing about our studio. I'm sure there's many other studios like this out there too, but we pride ourselves that we are still very involved and we also want to make sure that we're aware of industry trends so that we can advise our creative directors, our senior designers and designers on the best way forward so we know what is happening. What I think is very unique and not possible through AI is we are tastemakers. We have a unique angle and a unique point of view on what we think is the best look and feel. We're in touch with cultural trends. We engage in timeless design as well. I mean, Connie and I both really come from the school of Tibor Kalman. We love his design. We trained under people that trained under him. So this is and Bauhaus, which is timeless and we love and we integrate in a lot of our design look and feel as we develop design ideas. But we also make sure we know what is current so that we can integrate that as well and then have that vision for any of the projects that we're working on.
So talking about that growth, I mean, you mentioned obviously having that feedback session. Did you talk about growth for the next year as well in 2026? What you guys are thinking about inventing into the agency? Obviously, AI being one thing, but is there any milestones that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, we did realize that we want to build on all the amazing work that we've done with our clients in the impact area. So we realized that we are really an amazing resource for different sustainable development companies and that we've really been part of because we initially, so the sustainable development goal branding wasn't developed by us, but we integrated it into the UN system branding. So we were there for the get-go and we developed the branding that went out to globally to more than 100 United Nations agencies to integrate into their daily tasks when it comes to the sustainable development goals. And so we, from the get-go, were really part of this journey and also the idea of being climate responsible and knowing what that means from a design point of view. So I think we would be a great resource for these types of businesses and nonprofit organizations. And we really went ahead and started looking at some of the businesses that we wanted to work with. It's in the making that we're reaching out to them. We haven't done it. We're actually working on our pitch deck. We've put a pitch deck together where we showcase what we think is our best work, and we're going to reach out to them. And
Awesome. Because it still correlates with the sort of similar industry. So it's still under the same umbrella when you're trying to make a good impact and trying to elevate that messaging. So I'm very excited for you and I hope it goes well. Maybe they see this podcast and they know you're working with this industry now.
well, it's interesting because I think a lot of businesses have also shifted from their old mindset to a new mindset and integrating sustainability into their business. And this is where we can come in and help because it's become so much more important to consumers all over the globe. And if you want to position yourself as a successful, sustainable, climate conscious business, would be, I think, a great partner to, help you do that, because we've been doing this for a long time, and we've been integral to building these types of brand systems for the organizations that have put the thought leadership in place for climate strategy and climate thinking and sustainable development.
Yeah, I mean, like we already covered at the beginning, the agency was started with this bigger image in mind before it even was a trend.
Exactly. So that's our claim to fame, if we
Yes,
can.
yes, and it should be. Leverage is everything, and clearly the agency's got it, so you guys will be doing really, really well.
Thank you for the shout out, the positive support.
For the boost. Denise, if you had, I asked this to all of my guests, so if you had a magic wand to fix one bottleneck in order to get to your goal or to the agency's goal a lot quicker, what do you think it would be?
Well, that's a tough one. I wish
Okay.
the year had another month that we could only dedicate it to, internal streamlining and not working on client projects, but we could really focus on just
Yeah.
the studio management. We use Monday.com project management, and I wish we could really study it to the T and use all the amazing tools it
Uh,
has and all the other amazing tools that are out there to make us even more efficient. But the reality is that and I'm sure all your listeners say the same thing, that we have to co-create at the same time and
uh,
keep on going and then also you don't want to, as an agency, you don't want to all the time be just technical. You also want to be creative. We always tell, when we talk about being stuck or having no ideas, we have this beautiful art store across the street that still is a traditional art store with canvases and paints and all the beautiful tools that you use when you get hands on. Sometimes it's really important to just, go back to the roots and go to the art store and grab some paint and do something fun with that, to not get so stuck in all this new technology. So that would be another fun thing to do in that extra months that we would have in the year.
yeah, no,
Just,
for sure. If
paint
only.
and draw and do brainstorming workshops. That would be really
Denise, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge within the industry and about the agency as well to our listeners and our audience. If anyone wanted to connect with you or the agency, find out more information, where could they find you?
So our website is ahoystudios.com. So you can also email me directly at denise@ahoystudios.com. So my inbox is open. So happy to hear from anybody. They happy to reach out.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll make sure all the links are dropped below so people can locate you easily. Thank you once again for making the time. And for anyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and let me know your favorite takeaway from Denise down below in the comments.
Thank you so much.